Did you ever wonder why view resource was called view resource and not view HTTP or something like that? Because it has a nice extra feature which allows us to set up our own resources, which are kind of nice mappings of common tasks to HTTP requests. For example, you want to store something in a database. Typically, it would make sense if you would call a save method on your data, and then that would automatically execute a post request or send a post request to the right URL with the data attached to it. Now, view resource, or the resources you can set up with view resource, allow you to do that. I'll go to the app.view file and I want to show you this concept of view resources. The first thing you gotta do is you have to create such resources if you want to use them. For that, I will store a new key here in my data in my view instance, and I'll name it resource, and this is just an empty object. Then I will set up the created lifecycle hook because that is a good place to initialize the resources I want to use in this app.view file here. And then I simply can set it up by using my resource property I just created and then accessing this $sign resource. Again, $sign indicates it's not coming from us, it's coming from the root or from Vue.js in general, or in this case from view resource in general. And view resource actually is a method. Now to this method we have to pass certain data fields. The first field is the resource. Now that could be data.json. This will again use our root URL we set up here. And well, we already have data.json there. So to make this work, I will remove it here so that we just have it like this. And then in my app.view file, use data.json and also use it in all my other requests as the first argument now, so that we append data.json at the end of this standard URL. You will see in the next videos why I do that. For now, I will leave it static like this. So for that, I wouldn't have needed to do that, but you will see why I did it in the next videos again. So here, this is the path, the URL we want to visit with this resource. I'm going to leave this like it is right for now. We will change this in the next lectures, then it will make sense that I extracted this data.json file from the root URL. And with that, we already set up some resources because view resource ships with some default actions we can perform on our resources, on our data. You can check out these default actions in the view resource documentation, of course. If you go to creating resources, you will see some default actions here. So let's use that resource we just created. How does this work? I will comment out my submit code in here, so this old code, and instead I now want to submit this differently. I want to use this resource using my own resource property here, which I configured down there, and then save, because save is one of the default actions provided by view resource, as you can see here. This will, as you can also see, send a post request to the URL which is saved for this resource. This is this URL appended to the root URL, of course. And then we can simply pass the data as an argument here. Specifically, we can pass two things. The first one are any parameters we want to pass to that URL. We won't do that for now. I will come back to this later. The second argument is the data I actually want to pass. And the data I do want to pass is this user, as before with my other post request. Well, with this, let me save this and send this request again. And let's see if this works. By going to the Firebase console, looks good. Now let me try this again. Looks good. It is overwritten because yes, we send a post request, but we still have our interceptor in place. But now we're using this resource here. As you can see, the syntax is now shorter, though of course also because I removed the then functions, which I could still use. But with that, we can now set up some flexible pieces of functions we can then reuse in our application. And I will come back to this and now customize this a bit more in the next video.